entire argument through this whole thing is fucking ridiculous. He goes so far to say the church is going to shame your wife to fuck you. The priest is literally going to stand up and make sermons telling the wives that you have to fuck your husbands.
Yeah, nasty work.
I mean, he literally fucking says this. It's insane.
Not allowed to deprive each other of sex when it comes to marriage. And you find that people who follow the traditional faith generally don't. And so, yes, the ecclesiastical authority preaches that from the pulpit. Sorry, lady, you got to fuck your husband. That's part of God's law.
What?
What?
Bro, this nigga's out of line, out of pocket.
I think it's kind of funny, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy, but it's also
it's
retarded, though.
It's for the clipping. Yeah, it's for the clips.
Yeah.
Do it for the clip.
grant. He's doing it for the grant.
Here. Orthodox Church requires civil marriage license before performing sacrament of marriage.
Yeah, anybody that's gotten married in the church knows that. I mean, what the hell is this guy talking? Is Gorilla Biscuits, are you married?
Yeah, so basically the church, doesn't matter if it's Orthodox, Catholic. Say you found a woman that you actually want to marry. And you want to marry just in the church. There's no priest that will offer you that. Because the church, as referred in the Bible, she's the wife of Christ, right? But she's not the wife of Christ because she cheated. She married the state. So as the church is married with the state because they have the tax exemption. And obviously, why they are married with the state is because of the tax exemption. And if they don't want the tax exemption, and if they want to divorce, they won't get the tax exemption, right? They have to sell those candles and pay taxes on. And all the priests gets to learn this. And I think, so far, I only witnessed one priest, a young priest, in Romanian Orthodox Church that actually left it because he realized that the church is married to the state. And he had an issue with the fact that he had to make enough money, both for himself through donations. So he basically spills everything out. He has to make enough money for himself, support himself and his family. And then he has to make money enough for the priest, for the church. Because the church has a headquarters, right? Which is in the capital. Most churches have a headquarters. So they have to donate some of that money. They have to donate it to the mayor. Not the actual mayor, the head of the church in Romania. And I'll give you an example with the Orthodox Church in Romania. I mean, this guy, the most happy priest, forgot what his name is. Doesn't really matter, but the idea is he's being driven in the latest car like every single fucking year. Every year, he's either in a Audi A8 model or in a BMW 7 Series, which is like the top of the line from BMW and top of the line from Audi. So he basically oscillates between Audi and BMW. One year it will be Audi, the other year will be BMW, and so on. So those fucking cars, I guess maybe they're sponsored as well. But anyway, those fucking cars cost money. So in order to have the newest model of car, so you can be driven on, like you're some kind of head of a state or something. Obviously, he needs money. So the main church needs money from all the other small village churches. Actually, have to pay a certain amount every month to the main church. So when you think about it, it kind of works like a mafia, like protection money. But anyway, what does all this business and money relationship have to do with God? And what is this grifter Andrew Wilson, this fucking cuck that married a single mom, has 2 different baby daddies, and divorced several times. He divorced himself. And this is the issue, like, hey, I'm the one that stepped up. I'm doing a good thing, guys. I'm taking care of these children. I think he has the children with her as well. Which is all fine. Look at me, how righteous I am. How that's what they teaches us in the Bible, you know? Raise someone else's children. That's the Christian thing to do. I mean, look at me. Look how virtuous I am. And this is the issue both with the church, with any church, state church, and with Andrew Wilson. They have the same rhetoric. Do as I say, not as I do. This is what a lot of priests have in common also. They tell you about marriage, they tell you about this stuff, and they might be divorced. They might be or might not be married. Although, in Orthodoxy, I think you have to be married, become a priest, but then you can get a divorce. Not like they're gonna take your position away of being a priest. But anyway, all this money talk, and this guy that left the church because of the money. Because he was sick and tired of having to grift so he can pay the state church, so he can have a position in their system. You know, so he can have a job. He actually have to pay every month. He has to raise money both for the head of the church and for his church, because you have maintenance on your church, like maybe fix the roof. You have a leaky roof. These churches are old, so they need constant maintaining. Then their wages is shit. You can't really support yourself. I mean, their wages is dog shit. It's like it's minimum wage, something like that. So Andrew Wilson is talking about, hey, you can just get married in front of God, which I agree. I totally agree. Get married in front of God. Don't sign the fucking paperwork. Because it talks in the Bible, you can't serve 2 masters. So church is married with the state. They want to get married with Jesus as well. Doesn't work like that. It says in the Bible, you can't serve 2 masters. So if you give up serving the state, they remove the tax exemption. But you can't do that as a priest. You have to become totally independent. And to be honest with you, like in my country, and I think that's the case in most Eastern Europe, I don't know any private priests. I mean, I can't find one. I know Christians from Zimbabwe here in England. They actually have a church. Their church, they just meet. They just rent a building and meet there. They have nothing to do with the state. Obviously, they're not recognized by anyone, but in the European case, I literally don't know any priest that has a following. And like they meet in a park. You can have a church outside. You don't need a fucking building. If it's sunny, if it's warm outside, you can rent a building. call it a church, right? You don't have to be married with the state. You don't have to get that tax exemption. So before COVID, I used to defend the church more. I was like, all right, so church is not independent. They have to be responsible to the state. That's all fine. Until they went along with Satan's plan of COVID, with a big lie. I'm gonna visit my country for the holidays, Christmas and New Year's Eve. I know a priest, and I'm gonna have a chat with him. I'm gonna try to pick his brain, and I want to see if he denies that the church is married with the state. And God comes second, because that's the most important. First of all, the first thing, the church doesn't say to you as a priest, once they give you a position in a church, even in the smallest village, like where my grannies are, where we have about, I don't know, 100 families, less than 100. I think it's like 50 houses. Say maybe 200 people total, if there are 200 people, because most of them left for the cities. So even in a small church like that, you still have to pay. They tell you, okay, every month you have to pay the church. Let's give a number, 500 euros, 1,000 euros, it doesn't matter. People are poor in that village. They can buy a couple of candles. I don't know how they raise money. Maybe they have a lower target. Maybe they have 100 euro target, but they do have a target. Because this priest that left the church, he basically said it. He didn't say the amount, but he said, I had a target. I had to work for the state to support the main church, and then to support my church. And I had to grift on my people. And he said, I didn't like that feeling, grifting on the people. Makes God look like a business. He didn't like that, he left the church. And he actually said, I can't practice. Once you leave the church, you can't practice. I don't know how that works, how you cannot practice, because he's on Facebook now, he has a big following. I don't know, I suppose if he rents a building and then because keep in mind, Europe is not like America, you can just, or even England. I imagine if you rent a building and hold mass or, every Sunday or stuff like that, I guess the main church, because they act like a mafia, I guess they would call the police on you, possibly. I would imagine, because I've researched this. I can't find a priest that's not part of the Romanian Orthodox Church, the old Romanian. You can find priests on YouTube, on Facebook, like this guy that left, he preaches there. But in person, none of them arrange to meet in person. So this fucking Andrew Wilson, I don't know, to be honest, is he getting paid by the state to create lies? Is he making up the lies for himself, like you can get married? First of all, let's say you find a priest that will get you married. So you just get married in front of God, with God, right? You don't get married with God and church and state by signing the marriage contract. Because it says in the Bible, you can't serve two masters. Like, this is the basic example. And say you find a priest that would actually do the ceremony. What are the chances that a woman would want that? then the other argument is this. Well, you as a man, because mostly men would want this. The reason you want this is because you don't want to leave anything to the woman. Which is true in Europe if you're not married. Like in my country, the judge will split all of your assets 50-50 after you get married. So if you had a huge house, you didn't buy any other thing, any land, any cars, anything, once you got married. And then the woman divorces, she won't get shit because the house was before the marriage, which is more fair, like in Romania. That's why a lot of faggots like Andrew Tate like Romania, because the laws are more fair between man and woman. But if I play the devil's advocate, the only reason a man wants to get married, that's the excuse. They want to get married just in front of God and not get married with the state. Someone could say, oh, you don't actually, that's not the reason you want to do that. The real reason is because you don't want to share anything with your wife and children, which is fine. But anyway, even if you split up with your wife, you still she can still go to court. You still have to pay alimony. Although in Romania it's very cheap, and you don't go to jail if you can't pay it. Even if you won't pay it, you won't go to jail. But what the government does, they'll just straight up talk to your employee and just take money out of your paycheck. But the work around that is you can just change your bank like every other month because they're slow detecting your account. You could say that, yeah. But what's more biblical, getting married with the state? You could make an argument and say, yeah, that's the way marriage works. It's not just with a priest. You gotta sign the contract. Because it says give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. I mean, you could use that argument. Although that's more in regards to the laws of the land and stuff like that. It's not like if you just get married, you're breaking any law. If you just do the ceremony with the priest, either part of the church or that left the church. Nowhere in the Bible states that the priest has to be ordained by the church, by the state-approved church, tax-exempt church. Right. And I used to defend church more, and I used to say to people, oh no, it's not just a business. Because I heard other people saying it's a business. But the way you know that the church, every church, doesn't matter if it's Orthodox, Catholic, all the churches are evil, corrupt entities, it's by COVID. All of them obeyed. When I got kicked out of my church that I used to attend, I wanted to go on Easter Mass in my church, and I got kicked out because I wouldn't wear a mask. There was literally a woman at the door, part of the church. She said, oh no, you can't come in. Oh no. The sidekick of the priest, he came also, because I started, arguing with her. I was like, is this what God wants? To kick people out of church? Because they wouldn't obey Satan? And I actually want to ask a priest, like, do you recognize that was the plan of Satan? Or do you? Because on one hand, they talk about God, they know Bible verses, they know all this stuff, but do you actually believe in God if you do Satan's bidding? Or do I sound crazy when I say COVID was Satan's bidding? I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I will do a video, I promise. When I get to Romania, I know a priest, a government-approved priest, a tax-exempt priest. He's a young dude, and I think he'll be honest, and I'm gonna record him in secret, without him knowing. I'm gonna see what he says about it. Yeah. So this Andrew Wilson is fucking delusional. He lives in La La Land, or he's getting paid. He's getting fucking paid. He's getting fucking paid to lie to people. Not only you won't find a priest that will get you married, that's actually still in the church, because he might get reported. Whoever attends your ceremony, they might call the main church, and he will get suspended for that. They won't even, you can't arrange, you can't establish a date to get married, because the priest will tell you, okay, we can establish the date, but when you come to me, you gotta have the marriage certificate signed at the council, your local council. So you have to go sign the contract first again, and then you go to the church. So state, from the point of the church, state is their daddy. The government is their daddy. All right, it's not God. And this is fucking clear to anyone. Andrew Wilson is coming here and bullshitting everyone for some change money. This motherfucker, he never attended church. Most of the LARPers online talking about orthodoxy, because I'm Orthodox, I'm Christian Orthodox. And it's not a brag, I was born into it. Romania is 98% Orthodox. Most Eastern Europe is Orthodox, in case people don't know this. It's not a flex, I'm not an Ortho bro. I was baptized as a baby in Orthodox, in church. That's the religion I was born in. And these fucking Westerners, they talk about orthodoxy like it's this, like it's anything different from a Catholic. They both worship Mary. They both worship Mary, I would say, like at least half-half. 50% worship Mary, 50% Jesus and God. They both do that. It's not much difference. I could be here and bullshit about how Orthodox Christianity is the best, is the true religion and all that. I would say it's better than Catholic if you base it on like a business perspective. If you look at it from a business perspective and influence perspective, they are more humble, right? Because Catholic, they got Vatican. And there's a lot of opulence, right, in Vatican. A lot of gold, a lot of statue, a lot of money. The city of Vatican, right? And what does Orthodoxy have? They have Mount Athos. That's our Vatican. Mount Athos in Greece. That's where the headquarters are. And they live a more humble life. They don't have They don't flash their limousines and stuff like that. So that's the only thing. Like, what makes Orthodoxy better is they're more humble. They don't flex like the Catholic. They don't flex expensive cars, limousine, the Pope mobile, and all that shit. All the gold in Vatican City. That's the only difference. But what they all have in common, they're married with the state, right? They're not free. They're married with the state. They have to obey the state and they have to obey God. You can't obey two masters. I don't know how much clearer can it be? And all these fucking Western American LARPers that they discovered Orthodox, trying to act moral and all that shit. This motherfucker, I can see this fucking Andrew Wilson. He never been in an Orthodox church. You know, he doesn't attend. Like me, I only go on big holidays. Don't imagine I go every Sunday. This is like from a young age. As a kid, I knew there was something fucking fishy about church, and COVID confirmed it. It went along with Satan's plan, and if I say that, I'm pretty sure that the reply of a priest is, "You're fucking crazy." So you don't believe in God? If you don't believe in Satan, that he's working through the fucking government that you serve, you don't believe in God. You're just LARPing. It's just a fucking job to you. And it is. To most people, it's just a fucking job. Because as a guy, you already invested. You already spent like 5 years to become a fucking priest and get a church position. Because once you finish school, which is about 5 years, you still have to wait. You're going to be a helper to a priest that already has a church. And then you're going to have to wait a couple of more years until one of the old priests dies somewhere in the country so you can get a church position. So we're talking about from the time you want to become a priest to the time you actually have a church. It will be anywhere between 5 and 10 years. So you're already invested. So I'm pretty sure that's the answer of a priest when I tell them, you know Satan planned COVID. You know, if you're a honest Christian, you would say, "Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true." Unfortunately, it's better to admit I'm too fucking weak against the state. I'm too fucking weak against my church. It's not even the state that would have punished you during COVID. The main church would just take your position away. Would just say, "Okay, you're fired. We got another priest to take your position. Grab your stuff from the church you've been a priest for 5, 10 years, 15 years. Grab your shit and leave that church. We got another young buck that just finished school. He's gonna be the priest there. So get your shit out of it." That's how it fucking works. It's all a fucking business, dude. And then you got fucking Western American retards like this guy. He discovered the Orthodoxy. The fact that he's more humble than Catholic. He discovered this shit and they're like morally superior and grifting on Orthodox. Saying you can find a woman and get married without signing the contract. That's not gonna happen, pal. Even if you find a priest that was willing to do that, say you'll find one that will go against his bosses, his superiors, and get you married, what kind of woman would want to get married like that? And I can see it from the point of view of a woman. Hey, say I got married with you and we're together for 10 years, then you find a younger woman and kick me out with the kids. And I have bills to pay and stuff like that, and I don't get anything for the 10, 15 years I spent with you and having your children. I do understand that. But I don't know, man. It doesn't say you got to get married with the state anywhere in the Bible. A lot of things, both churches, both Catholic and Orthodox, are doing things that are not biblical. And the easiest example is getting baptized. If Jesus got baptized as an adult, why are we baptizing babies? Couple of months babies. We're drowning them in water. Why? Why are we doing that? So both churches do stuff that is not the Bible. Yeah, that's all I have to say.